The heat drained from my face as my sister's words cut through the ambient chatter of the rooftop cocktail party. "Rebecca fixes toasters," Victoria announced to her circle of polished colleagues, her voice deliberately loud, her smile razor-sharp. "Well, not just toasters. Also blenders, microwaves, whatever's broken. She can unscrew it." Practiced laughter rippled through the group while Victoria's eyes found mine, searching for the hurt she'd intended to inflict. I gripped my club soda so tightly my fingertips whitened against the glass. The city skyline blurred behind the gathering of sleek suits and cocktail dresses, all of them stealing glances at my simple navy dress and practical shoes. The string lights overhead suddenly seemed too bright, too exposing, as 20 pairs of eyes cataloged and dismissed me in the span of a heartbeat. "She's like a walking warranty," Victoria added, her voice dripping with false affection. More laughter. I forced my face to remain neutral while something crystallized inside me. Not just anger, but a cold, clear certainty that tonight would be the last time my sister used me as her punchline. "My name is Rebecca. I'm 35 and I own a repair shop. This is the story of how I made my sister finally see me. I wasn't always the family disappointment. Once I was the golden child. Top grades, college scholarship, law school admission letter proudly displayed on our parents' refrigerator. Victoria, 3 years younger, watched me with admiration then, her braces gleaming as she declared, "I want to be just like you." But life has a way of rewriting the roles we think we're meant to play. When I was 22, our mother was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Our father tried to shield us from the severity, but I saw the truth in the insurance forms, the medication schedules, the doctor's carefully neutral expressions. I deferred my first semester of law school to help at home, while Victoria threw herself deeper into her studies, using academic achievement as a shield against grief. Mom slipped away 6 months later. I never made it to law school. My scholarship expired while I was sorting medical bills and cooking frozen dinners for a father who'd forgotten how to speak. The house began falling apart. Leaky faucets, faulty wiring, broken air conditioning, and with no money for repairmen, I taught myself to fix things. There's something empowering about holding a voltage tester in your hand and diagnosing what's wrong with something everyone else has given up on. I watched tutorials, read manuals, made mistakes that cost us 2 hair dryers before I got it right. Eventually, I left my receptionist job and opened a repair service. Just me, a second-hand workbench, and a hand-painted Hammond Fixes It sign. Meanwhile, Victoria graduated with honors, landed a job at MK Tech Systems, one of the fastest-growing technology firms in the region, and quickly began climbing the corporate ladder. At family gatherings, she'd talk about her brilliant boss, Mara Kingsley, like she was speaking of royalty, while making sure everyone remembered what a disappointment I'd become. "At least I didn't waste my potential tightening screws," she'd say with that practiced smile, the kind that dared me to react so she could call me sensitive, or point. Some of us have clients who don't live in retirement homes, always with a smile, always with an audience. What Victoria didn't know, what none of them knew, was that over the years, I'd quietly built something substantial. My little shop between a laundromat and a tailor had grown. I'd hired 2 part-timers, Sam, a retired electrician who could diagnose a faulty circuit board by smell, and Miles, a high school senior who showed up one day asking to learn the trade. And through a third-party logistics partner, I'd acquired a significant client, MK Tech Systems, Victoria's company. They sent us malfunctioning devices from their warehouse team, never with direct contact from upper management, but the work was steady and the pay solid. I never mentioned it to Victoria, not because I was hiding it, but because nothing I did ever mattered to her unless she could belittle it. So when Victoria called one Wednesday afternoon in April and said, "You should come to our company's cocktail mixer on Friday. It'll be fun," I was surprised. "Why me?" I asked, my free hand automatically tightening a loose screw on a vintage food processor. She laughed. "Why not? You never come to these things. It's time you met some people who might inspire you to level up a bit." That should have been my first warning, but I accepted, not because I needed her validation, but because I had a feeling that time was about to straighten out some perspectives. The mixer was held on the rooftop of an upscale downtown building. String lights, imported wines, glass panels instead of rails, so you could see the entire city spread beneath your heels. I arrived 10 minutes early with a small gift bag containing locally roasted coffee beans Victoria had liked when we were younger. A peace offering, maybe, or just a habit I hadn't yet abandoned. When I first arrived, Victoria didn't notice me. She was holding court in the center of the room, hands animated, posture perfect, her voice carrying over the ambient music. I stood off to the side with my club soda, watching her perform. Eventually, she spotted me and waved me over. "Rebecca!" she called, drawing attention. "You came!" Heads turned, and I felt that familiar pause, that moment when a room evaluates someone and files them under not important. "Everyone, this is my sister," Victoria said, gesturing toward me. "She's in hardware repair." The way she said it, soft but deliberate, like she was tossing me a label and daring me to correct it. I smiled. "I run a repair and refurbishment shop." "Yes," one of her coworkers blinked. "Like, for computers?" "Among other things." Victoria laughed. "She's being modest. She can fix just about anything with a plug." Then, to her friend, "She's like a walking warranty." People chuckled. I didn't. I nodded, still smiling, swallowing the sharp retort rising in my throat. Victoria wasn't finished. She turned to a man in a gray blazer. "Ben, remember I told you about my sister? She's the one who fixed Mom's old blender instead of letting her upgrade. I swear Rebecca would rather fight technology than embrace it." More laughter. I opened my mouth, then closed it. Not because I didn't have a comeback, but because nothing I said would change anything, not in that moment. I turned toward the refreshment table, pretending to study the hors d'oeuvres. That's when the elevator chimed. The rooftop went quieter, not silent but still, a shift in atmosphere. Out stepped Mara Kingsley. She wore a burgundy pantsuit, her hair slicked back, her face unreadable. She had that presence, that energy that made people stand straighter when she entered a room. People cleared a path instinctively. She didn't pause, didn't scan the crowd for Victoria. She walked straight toward me. "Rebecca," she said, holding out her hand, "I didn't expect to see you here." I shook it firmly. "Neither did I." Victoria's voice cracked behind me. You two know each other?" Mara turned. "Your sister is the reason your logistics team has been able to maintain a 97% equipment turnaround rate. You've been using her services for 2 years. I assumed you knew." The silence that followed was exquisite. Victoria blinked rapidly, her champagne flute frozen halfway to her lips. I thought that was a third-party contractor," she stammered. "It is," Mara said, "but Rebecca's shop is the one they subcontract to. She's solved problems your team couldn't even diagnose." She turned back to me. "I recognized you from the photo on your company's invoice letterhead. I make it a point to know the faces behind our most valuable partners." "Thank you," I said, my voice calm. People around us shifted uncomfortably. No more forced laughs, no more small talk. Victoria stood still, eyes wide, lips slightly parted. I didn't rub it in, didn't gloat, just offered a polite smile because I wasn't there to win. I was there to witness the moment the truth walked into the room wearing a pantsuit and a name badge. Mara excused herself to greet others, and I turned back toward the snack table. My ginger ale hadn't even warmed in my hand. Victoria approached slowly, her voice lower now. "Why didn't you say anything?" I looked at her. Really looked at her. Would it have made a difference? She didn't answer, and for once that was enough. After that moment, something in the room shifted, not just for Victoria, for everyone. People who had ignored me earlier now approached with cautious curiosity. They asked about my shop, the kind of work I did, how I got started. I answered simply, without embellishment. The truth didn't need decoration. It just needed space to stand on its own. Mara passed by again later, this time with a drink in hand and a quieter tone. "You've got a good eye," she said. "I've looked at your diagnostics. Your team solves things our engineers give up on." "I appreciate that," I said. "I have good people." She smiled, then leaned in slightly. I value precision and loyalty. If you ever want to skip the middleman, let me know. She handed me a card, sleek and embossed. I tucked it into my purse without looking at it. I'll think about it. She nodded and walked on. Victoria stood about 10 feet away, watching. When I made eye contact with her, she didn't look away this time. I walked over slowly. No point in dragging it out. She was gripping the rim of her wine glass like it was anchoring her. I didn't know, she said quietly. I know, I replied. She searched my face, maybe looking for anger or forgiveness or an opening. I didn't mean to embarrass you, she added. Yes, you did, I said. Not harsh, just factual. You just didn't expect it to backfire. She flinched a little. I let the silence stretch. Look, she said, I've worked hard to get where I am. You dropped everything and just settled. I didn't understand it. No, I said calmly. You didn't look closely enough to try. She blinked. I didn't settle, I added. I rebuilt. She swallowed hard. I guess I always thought you gave up. I nodded. A lot of people did. That's the luxury of distance. I didn't say it to hurt her. I said it because it was the truth. Sometimes people build their stories about you around the pieces that serve them best, and when you grow in silence, it confuses them. It threatens their version of how the world is supposed to work. Victoria glanced around, her voice barely above a whisper. Did you come tonight to prove something? I actually laughed, just once, quiet and short. I came because you asked. She looked down. I didn't press her. She was already carrying enough embarrassment for both of us. And honestly, I didn't feel vindicated. I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt tired. Rebecca, she said, I really am sorry. I nodded. Good. Now do better. She nodded slowly. I could see the gears turning. Whether she'd change or not, that was her journey, not mine. I said goodbye a little while later. No dramatic exit, no parting shot, just a quiet farewell. As I rode the elevator down, I thought about Mara's card. I still hadn't looked at it. I didn't need it to mean anything more than it already had because that night wasn't about opportunity or exposure or vindication. It was about balance, about watching the scale tilt back to where it should have been all along. People say revenge is sweet, but this wasn't revenge. It was just truth. Undeniable, unpolished, and overdue. And sometimes that's more powerful than anything else. I didn't take Mara's job offer. I still have the card. It's in a drawer in my shop, tucked beneath a stack of receipts and old instruction manuals. Every now and then, I look at it. Not because I regret saying no, but because it reminds me that I didn't need to be discovered to matter. Some people climb ladders, others build solid ground. I chose the ground. My shop is still running, busier now. The exposure helped, sure. A few new clients came in because of the party, and word spread a little further, but that's not what I hold on to. What stays with me are the quiet wins. The 80-year-old man who brings me his late wife's antique mixer and thanks me with tears in his eyes. The single mom whose only laptop I managed to bring back to life before her online midterms. The teenage assistant I hired last summer who now wants to start his own repair truck. That's the legacy I care about. Victoria and I talk more now, carefully, not like before. Not like sisters who braid each other's hair and share secrets, but like people who are trying, people who've seen each other clearly for the first time and are still learning what that means. She hasn't mocked me since. Sometimes she even asks for advice, small things like budgeting or how to fix her thermostat. I answer, not because I need her validation, but because I've let go of needing anything from her at all. What I've learned, more than anything, is that respect doesn't arrive with applause. It comes in the quiet after people finally stop talking long enough to listen. I never raised my voice. I never corrected the room. I never shouted, "Look at me." But when the moment came and truth walked through the door, I didn't flinch. And neither did my worth, because it was never missing, just underestimated. So if anyone ever asks what I do, I tell them the truth. I fix what's broken. And I don't just mean appliances.